skies for much of the day today. High of 85. South winds 15 to 30 miles per hour. Mostly cloudy tonight. Isolated.
Good morning, my friend. Good to have you along. Welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show. We're just getting ready to get underway. There are a number of things now we're learning about the assassination attempt on Donald Trump this week, over the weekend. So we'll get into that here in moments. Thanks so much for letting me join you. Get your day started.
FM 105.1 and worldwide at Kello.com. The Doctor of Discernment is on the air.
I love the Greg Belfrage Show.
I've been listening to you for years, Greg. Thanks for all you do and keeping us informed.
You sound a little taller on radio.
Dispensing a daily dose of common sense. No prescription required.
Americans love winners and will not tolerate a loser. Americans play to win all the time.
I don't believe in the no-win scenario.
This is the Greg Belfrage Show.
Good morning, my friend. The marketplace of ideas is open. Welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show. Really great to have you along this Tuesday morning. So we're learning more about the man that tried to assassinate Donald Trump over the weekend. Ryan Routh, 58-year-old man, facing charges of possessing a firearm despite being a convicted felon and possessing a firearm with an obliterated serial number. And authorities at this point are saying that there may be more serious charges. They're possible. So we may see some additional charges. So he appeared briefly in federal court in West Palm Beach, Florida. He answered some questions about his work status, his income, and there were reports. I noticed this yesterday. There were reports of him, smiling as he was visiting with his public defender. So smiling and laughing with them and then reviewing documents prior to his initial appearance. And that's just, that's about it in terms of what we know. The FBI held a news conference yesterday. And they talked about this. And so they talked about Ryan Routh and that he was booked on firearms charges. So they said 2 counts, possession of a firearm by a prohibited person. He's a convicted felon. Possession of a firearm with an obliterated serial number. Also, we learned that in 2019, the FBI had received a tip stating that Routh, who was, again, a convicted felon, had a gun, but for reasons not clear, I think, at all. They did nothing about it. So the FBI special agent in charge of the Miami field office said he was the subject of a previously closed 2019 tip to the FBI where it was alleged he was a felon in possession of a firearm. And following up on the tip, the complainant was interviewed and did not verify, I repeat, did not verify providing the initial information. Then the FBI at that point passed it on to local law enforcement. And then as far as the FBI is concerned, 2019, they were done investigating him until now he shows up on Trump at Trump International Golf Club. So FBI agents tried to talk to Routh on Sunday. He invoked his right to attorney. He's refusing to speak to law enforcement officials. In 2002, Routh was charged and convicted in North Carolina for possession of a weapon of mass destruction. There were at least 7 witnesses at the scene, the FBI said, and they've all been interviewed by the FBI. The acting director of the Secret Service, Ronald Rowe, crediting President Biden several times for ordering the highest levels of protection for former President Trump. Believe me, there's a lot more on this morning. We'll talk about that in more detail. He said the Secret Service moved to sustain increases in assets and the level of protection, and those things were in place, he said on Sunday. Routh, we're learning, was at the golf course for almost 12 hours. 12 hours he was there. You know when and you can, you can see if you're carrying a cell phone and you get your locator turned on, obviously they can see where he was. They can track his movements then. Prior to the shooting, 12 hours. He showed up at 2 a.m. Just before 2 a.m., this guy shows up. And so he was in very close proximity to where he was spotted by the Secret Service. But for 12 hours, nobody, what's going on? And many are asking that question. Also, they're saying the shooter never gained access to the golf course itself. He was on the public side of the fence near the 6th green. They say the FBI said yesterday that he did not have a line of sight to Donald Trump, did not fire or get off any shots, according to the FBI. Trump was several hundred yards and several holes away, out of sight from the gunman. But that doesn't seem to be in line with what we have heard earlier. It was that Trump was on the 5th hole, the shooter was set up on the 6th hole. And then the FBI talked about the assets that were set up by Ronald Rowe. Went out of his way yesterday to try to give President Biden credit. That President Biden has been out there and increasing the number of assets in order to safeguard Trump. So again, if there were drones and you got exterior teams, how did they not find this guy if he was there for 12 hours? If he was there for 12 hours, how do you not? That is just unbelievable. So those were really some of the big takeaways from the FBI's news conference yesterday. And then Donald Trump also speaking out yesterday. This was last night, and this was on a conversation on X Spaces to talk about crypto. And Trump talked about the assassination attempt. He also talked about the rhetoric about Trump coming from Kamala Harris, coming from Joe Biden, and then the media. And Trump said they have the man behind bars, and he's going to be there for a long time. Trump said he was playing golf with friends on Sunday. Everything was beautiful. It was a nice place to be. All of a sudden, we heard shots being fired in the air, and I guess probably 4 or 5, and it sounded like bullets. But what do I know about that? He said very dryly, joking, obviously. And then Trump said of the Secret Service, he said that they knew immediately it was bullets, and they grabbed me, Trump said. They did a fantastic job. He said, I would have loved to have sank that last putt, but we decided, let's get out of here, Trump said. And what the gunfire was, actually, interestingly, was a Secret Service agent had seen the barrel of an AK-47, which is a very powerful gun, rifle. And he started shooting at the barrel, started shooting in the bushes, could only see the barrel. How good is that, right? Trump said, but could only see the barrel. Based on that, he started shooting and ran toward the target and was shooting a lot of, those were the shots we heard, Trump said. The other one never got a shot off. And he ran across the street and grabbed his car. So that Trump talking about the aftermath of this. He said, amazingly, a civilian in that area saw something. It looked very suspicious and let authorities know. Trump also talked about law enforcement. He said, Sheriff Bradshaw is fantastic. Great sheriff for a long time. And within a fairly short period of time, they tracked the shooter down on the highways. Pretty high-speed chase. They ended up getting him. He actually had gotten some length away before they apprehended him. And it was, far enough away that it's more than a little concerning. So Trump said he was asked about this being the second attempt on his life in under 2 months. And this is what's going to bring us to what we're talking about this morning. Trump said there's a lot of rhetoric going on. A lot of people think that the Democrats, when they talk about threat to democracy and all this, and it seems that both of these people were radical leftists. The first one they should learn more about. They have apps they haven't opened yet, which is pretty strange. And the father went on, got the biggest lawyer in the state of Pennsylvania, which is pretty strange. And the father of the shooter we're talking about in Butler, the first one, he said. But then he said, the president actually called Trump again yesterday, and they talked about this most recent attempt on Trump's life. Trump said he thought Biden was treated very unfairly by the Democrat Party and Kamala. And then a lot of these are things I think we've heard before. Trump said of the president, he couldn't have been nicer. But I thought he was treated really unfairly. He went through a primary system, he won, and then they threw him overboard, and she got no votes. Now, Trump shared this on True Social. And there's a lot of people reacting to this. And he says, this is from his True Social account. Trump said, the rhetoric lies as exemplified by the false statements made by Comrade Kamala Harris during the rigged and highly partisan ABC debate, and all the ridiculous lawsuits specifically designed to inflict damage on Joe's, then Kamala's political opponent, me, has taken politics in our country to a whole new level of hatred, abuse, and distrust. Because of this communist left rhetoric, the bullets are flying, and it will only get worse, allowing millions of people from places unknown to invade and take over our country is an unpardonable sin. Our borders must be closed, and the terrorists, criminals, and mentally insane immediately removed from American cities and towns, deported back to their countries of origin. We want people to come into our country, but they must love our nation and come in legally and through a system of merit, he said. The world is laughing at us as fools. They are stealing our jobs and our wealth. We cannot let them laugh any longer. Make America great again, Trump said on True Social. He also put out a list yesterday of, and this was coming from the campaign, an extensive list of different quotes from Democratic politicians that the Trump camp is saying inspired another attempt on Trump's life. And they've got links to each quote, 39 different statements made by Democrat politicians, Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, saying that Trump is a threat to our democracy and fundamental freedoms. He's an existential threat. One of Biden's quotes was, "It's time to put Trump in a bullseye." You'll remember that. One quote from Tim Walz was, "Are Republicans a threat to democracy? Yes. Are they going to put people's lives in danger? Yes." Nancy Pelosi said Trump is a threat to our democracy of the kind that we have not seen. And so those are, some of the statements that are being made out there in regard to Donald Trump. And this is the reaction from Politico is just mind-blowing today. Politico published a piece last night. Trump called for unity after the first assassination attempt, not this time. And then it goes on into the piece, and they're saying that that Donald Trump is going forward with a more brazen message. Democrats' rhetoric put my life in danger. So it's Trump then with a brazen message, and they go on to say it's a strategy that Trump's advisors view as a way to hold Democrats accountable for rhetoric they argue without evidence has endangered the former president. That's Politico saying without evidence. How many shots need to be fired at Donald Trump before you start saying that, the rhetoric about Donald Trump is fueling this? I firmly believe it. We'll get your thoughts on it this morning. Don Jr. was on Newsmax yesterday, and he said, reacting to this, and he used a quote from Kamala Harris: "Trump is a threat to our democracy and fundamental freedoms. It's on us to recognize the threat Trump possesses. Does one of us have to come out alive? Ha, 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 ha." He said, these are Kamala Harris, Joe Biden. It's time to put a bullseye on Trump. Like, these are direct quotes, Don Jr. says. They accuse everyone else of doing the things that they're doing. They scream and yell, just like they've been talking about democracy and calling everyone they don't like a fascist, while censoring, jailing their political opponents, and so on and so forth. They're the ones acting like actual fascists, Don Jr. said. And he said, Democrats have created this level of intensity in our political system. They have created the lunatics who will go after and try to kill my father, he said. And he said he told Newsmax, tired of having to explain to his 5 children why there's yet another deranged leftist radicalized by the media, by the mainstream media, by big tech, by Democrat politicians trying to kill their grandfather. It's getting old, and it's caused 100% by the Democrats. Now, that was Don Jr. Alan Dershowitz was also the he was on Newsmax. And did you hear about the wife of Eugene Vindman, who posted Sunday on her X account, no ears were harmed? Now, this is following the assassination attempt on Donald Trump. She said, no ears were harmed. Carry on with your Sunday afternoon. And she wound up removing the tweet. Yeah, that was the wife of Eugene Vindman. And Alan Dershowitz said, as they were talking about this, that people like this gunman who was apprehended, the latest, he said, people like this think there will be some who will honor them. Maybe not publicly, but among their friends. And otherwise, why would this potential assassin have brought a video camera? He thought he'd be a hero if he was able to successfully prevent Trump from becoming president. And so, I think this attempt to make comparisons between horrible people of the past, like Hitler and Donald Trump, really encouraged this kind of violence. That's Alan Dershowitz, who is I don't know what we can call him. He's left the Democrat Party because of the insanity we see going on in the midst of the party. And then there's a great piece at PJ Media this morning by Paula Bouillard, who is saying, why was big tech so quick to scrub Ryan Routh's accounts? And she makes a pretty asks some pretty intriguing questions. And we'll talk about that also coming up this morning. That's a look at the big stories this morning. Thanks so much for starting your day with the Greg Belfrage Show. This hour brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month. Currently mostly cloudy and 72 at Kello.
28 Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
The Kello Hotline is brought to you by Tires.
Okay.
See in-store details about how to get rebates from major tire manufacturers. 2 Sioux Falls locations to serve you.
Why am I so sore? There are everyday moments.
What? Hey, hold the ladder! Hold the ladder! Yeah, that hurt.
And there are epic moments.
Sorry! Coming! Class of 1995!
When a moment creates a health need, visit the experts at Avera Orthopedics. We're moving health forward so you can tell the story. Learn more at avera.org/orthopedics.
We don't just meet expectations, we exceed them. We don't just follow best practices, we set them. With Mitchell Roofing and Siding, you're not just choosing a service.
These continued assassination attempts really are just
every single day. Together,
just find yourself feeling infuriated about so many of these things. Crazy.
The future we continue to get better.
I think Alan Dershowitz is on to something. These comparisons of Hitler and Donald Trump, and Dershowitz went on to say, when you use violent rhetoric, it can really encourage people to engage in violent actions. So,
don't let the tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima.
And then Politico without evidence. What do you need Donald Trump to turn up dead before you've got evidence? I mean, it's just crazy.
Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau.
Okay.
Early morning showers and thunderstorms will continue to move east, partly cloudy for much of the day today. Well, the high of 85. South wind 15 to 30 miles per hour. Mostly cloudy tonight, late night showers and thunderstorms as we fall to 67. Partly cloudy skies for tomorrow, scattered showers and thunderstorms, high of 84.
And in Sioux Falls at 6:30, it's mostly cloudy and 72 currently at Kello. Joe Bowman is in the Kello.com newsroom. Coming up, hospital in Dakota Dunes is agreeing to pay nearly $13 million to settle a case involving alleged improper financial dealings. So Joe will have details on those stories and more coming up here on Kello. Excuse me for a few moments.
Wanting me to be president to save this country.
Former President Trump in an interview on X Spaces praising the Secret Service agent who spotted a rifle sticking out of the bushes on his golf course Sunday, stopping a second assassination attempt.
The New York Times reports the Secret Service did not search the perimeter of the club before Trump began his round. Acting Secret Service Director Ron Rose says the golf outing wasn't initially part of Trump's schedule on Sunday, but did not say whether this meant agents did not have time to sweep the course.
Fox's Madeline Rivera. All 44,000 people in Nysa, Poland are told to leave because of flooding that's killed at least 18 people in Central Europe.
There are fatalities confirmed in Poland, Romania, Austria, and the Czech Republic. More rain and more damage is expected, with Storm Boris now moving south into Italy.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. America's listening to Fox News.
Kello News Time, 6:31. I'm Joe Bowman in the Kello.com News Center. A hospital in Dakota Dunes has agreed to pay nearly $13 million to settle a case involving alleged improper financial dealings. Dune Surgical allegedly was making contributions to a physician group's nonprofit in exchange for patient referrals. The hospital was also alleged to have provided another physician group with free or below market value clinic space, staff, and supplies. State officials are busy mapping out the future of education in South Dakota. The Board of Education Standards held a hearing in Aberdeen yesterday morning. Education Secretary Joe Graves says efforts to move to the science of reading approach are well funded.
The legislature did issue a $6 million allocation for the training of all K-5 teachers. Additionally, the Department of Education wrote a $54 million grant to assist schools in their SOR implementation.
The board is also working on standards for kindergarten through 8th grade computer science. Police are investigating a weekend shooting that left a man with non-life-threatening injuries. Information Officer Sam Clemens says it began when the victim went to a residence to confront the suspect.
The man then pulled out a gun and ended up shooting the other man in the arm. No life-threatening injuries on that. Everybody kind of scattered after that. So no arrests have been made. We're still working on trying to piece everything together.
The shooting happened at around 11:30 Saturday night near 12th and Summit. Sioux Falls City Council is expected to review an ordinance today that would give police more authority to enforce alcohol bans on Siouxland Library's property. Library officials say they've seen a rise in alcohol-related incidents this year at their branches. Under the current ordinance, police can enforce a failure to vacate, but that does not specify enforcement of prohibiting alcohol. And the Minnesota Twins fell apart in the 8th inning during a 4-3 loss to the Cleveland Guardians yesterday. The Twins still have a lead over Detroit for the final AL wildcard spot. From the Kello.com News Center, I'm Joe Bowman.
The news never stops. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
After early morning showers and thunderstorms, partly cloudy skies for much of the day today. High of 85. South winds 15 to 30 miles per hour. Mostly cloudy tonight. Isolated showers and thunderstorms expected late tonight. Warm, 67 or low. Partly cloudy skies for tomorrow. High temperature of 84 as we continue to watch for scattered storms. From the Storm Center, I'm Scott Wines.
What was that?
I just want to bring up a point here.
This is where to go when you've got something to say.
You don't have to tell these people what they want to know.
Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
If you use an iPhone, Apple's new operating system, iOS 18, is here and it's free. These are the top reasons you should upgrade right away. I'm Kim Commando for T-Mobile. Their advanced network now goes farther than ever before. Visit T-Mobile.com/55 today.
There we go.
You won't find any part of Apple's much anticipated artificial intelligence in this upgrade. That's still about a month away. But here are the top improvements.
Incredible that shooter hit for 12 hours. It just blows my mind.
Everyone hates passwords. With this new feature, your phone stores and locks your passwords securely. That alone is worth the upgrade. The iPhone's Control Center is now easier to use and does a lot more. Plus, you can fully customize your iPhone's home screen to tailor it to your needs. The catch? You have to have at least an iPhone 10 made in 2019.
And this is crazy.
Your iPhone is older.
In Michigan, a student was attacked after telling a group of dads
at winfromkim.com.
This group of men asked this 19-year-old student if he was Jewish, and when he said yes, they assaulted him. Just crazy what we see happening.
I don't have to worry about
That story is trending.
So I've got more time and money to spend on other things. At T-Mobile, customers 55 and up can get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for just $30 a month per line. That's a 45% savings versus Verizon and AT&T. Plus, Scam Shield Premium is included, which means fewer scam calls and more tools to help you optimize and organize your mobile life. Experience all this and more with T-Mobile, America's largest 5G network. Don't miss out. Get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for $30 a month per line at T-Mobile. Visit T-Mobile.com or your local store to make the switch and save.
With auto pay using debit or bank account plus taxes and fees. 25% off 2 lines versus AT&T Starter and Verizon Welcome. Plan benefits vary. See details. Capable device required for Scan Shield. Criminal scan block might block calls you off. Disable anytime.
The Kim Commando Show. Live Saturday mornings at 9. Callow News Talk 1320 107.9.
The Kello Hotline is brought to you by Tires. Your Give You More tire and automotive store. Financing programs available. 2 Sioux Falls locations to serve you.
Bring John Green Outdoors into your home with Renewal by Anderson picture and combination windows. Optimizing the beautiful view and lighting the bedroom, kitchen, or living room from ABC Seamless in Sioux Falls. 605-646-2667 today. That's ABC Seamless.
Unsure about your Medicare options? Call McGreevy and Associates.
To assist you with your Medicare options, whether you're new to Medicare, just reaching in, or been on Medicare for some time. Visit us at McGreevyAssociates.com.
If you have insurance questions, McGreevy has the answer.
Today's world is hectic, and sometimes as parents, we need a little help. And we get it. Our kids prefer to hang out with their digital babysitter, where social media is their best friend. Companies like TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube promise entertainment and connection, but spread isolation and despair. To them, our kids are just dollar signs. For hours a day, social media sells our children's minds to the highest bidder, no matter the human cost. We would never let a real-life babysitter introduce our kids to racists, conspiracy theorists, or women haters. We wouldn't let a babysitter show our children violence or give them drugs. But social media companies do this every day, making billions of dollars by feeding our kids content that damages their mental health and self-esteem. So before we hand our kids off to the digital babysitter, just remember that social media is addictive and profitable by design. These companies don't.
Hey, a word from my friends at Washington Crossing. They've been sharing their story for a long time. You know, the folks at Washington Crossing believe that life is meant to be enjoyed. And as Sioux Falls' premier independent senior living community, they offer more than just a place to live. They offer a very vibrant community. They've got beautiful apartments. These are spacious, modern apartments, wide array of amenities. Residents also live surrounded by friends and then cared for by a dedicated team. So whether it's joining in on activities or relaxing in your own space, you'll love the flexibility and independence that Washington Crossing provides. Washington Crossing also has an assisted living option, provides the perfect blend of independence and support tailored to your needs. Services are also flexible and evolve with you, making sure that you always get the care that you need. So come and take a look at what makes the community at Washington Crossing so special. Call them today at 605-271-9273. They would love to show you around. So schedule your free private tour. That's 605-271-9273. Washington Crossing, premier independent living at a great value. That's right, baby.
In the know while you're getting ready to go.
All right, here we go. "20 minutes before 7. It's mostly cloudy and 72. Thanks so much for starting your day with the Greg Belfrage Show. I'm really glad to have you here. I appreciate it. This hour is brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
What's trending now?
Add them on Facebook.
Let the tweeting begin. The hashtag does that. News and views from Belf's News Gallery.
Well, President Biden said that the U.S. Secret Service needs more help in the wake of these assassination attempts on Donald Trump. So he called on Congress to respond to their need, he said. And this was, he was outside the White House yesterday. And the president said, one thing I want to make clear is that the service needs more help. And I think Congress should respond to their need. He said Secret Service may decide whether they need more personnel or not, but he wouldn't go any further than that. And the president also had visited with Donald Trump, and he said of Trump, he said, thank God the president is okay. The alleged shooter, now we're learning, hid for 12 hours in that golf course. Didn't know that yesterday morning. But so later yesterday, we learned that he was there for 12 hours, starting at 1:59 a.m. that morning. So he was there early, was there for quite, and that's because his phone pinged on the edge of the Trump International Golf Course. So the more we learn about this, I think the more concerning it is. So he was about 300 to 500 yards away from Donald Trump. And Secret Service fired at him, and he fled. So he took off in a Nissan sport vehicle, which they wound up apprehending him period of time later. There are a number of stories around the assassination attempt that are trending. Florida police have released body cam footage showing the arrest. And that was actually, we saw much of that yesterday morning, but that story's still trending. Also, Donald Trump saying the rhetoric of Joe Biden and Vice President Harris is what's causing Trump to be shot at. So he talked to Fox News yesterday morning, and Trump pointed to past comments casting Trump as a threat to democracy. And Trump said of, the president, Kamala Harris, at the same time they say that, tell Americans they're unity leaders. And Trump said they are the opposite. These are the people that want to destroy our country. It's called the enemy from within. They are the real threat, Trump said. We'll talk about that in more detail coming up this morning. So this guy was on the golf course for about 12 hours. Literally was camped outside waiting for Donald Trump to come along. Again, Ryan Ralph never fired any shots. He did not have an opportunity to get any shots off. And authorities are saying he never had Trump in his line of sight. And he sped away after the agent who spotted him shot in his direction. And, and I wondered about that. So they shot at him, and you've got to believe this is probably somebody who just had a handgun, firing a handgun in the direction of this. Because I thought, well, if you were to have had a rifle and you sighting, you see somebody with a rifle, pointed out through the chain link fence that's what they saw. The rifle through the fence. They are coming out of the bushes there. Chances are probably pretty good that this agent was just carrying had a pistol and fired several shots then, which Donald Trump says he heard. He heard the shots. None of them were being fired in Trump's direction. They were all being fired toward the assassin, who then took off and was apprehended then fairly quickly afterward. So the son of this assassin, I had this story for you yesterday, the son, and I think he told the Daily Mail about his father. And he said, the suspect, a registered Democrat, hates Trump like all reasonable people. I don't like Trump either, he said. He's my dad, and all he's had is a couple of traffic tickets as far as I know. He's lying. He's lying. Guy's a convicted felon. The guy is a convicted felon. So the son out there, just a couple of traffic tickets, that's all I know. What, you wouldn't know that your father's a convicted felon? I mean, I understand why you might not want to advertise that, but just a couple of traffic tickets? Yeah, it's just. Also, this Ryan Routh, said he'd fight and die on behalf of Kyiv, Ukraine. And so now Ukraine is having to distance itself from this guy, Ryan Routh. So he had made public social media statements in recent years expressing his support for Ukraine's defense against Russia. He visited Ukraine in 2022, according to public records that were reviewed by CNN. He portrayed himself as a Ukrainian military official, attempted to recruit Afghans via Facebook to go fight in the war. So, I mean, I understand for all of this guy's family who are saying, this guy was obviously disturbed. We shouldn't even have to debate the fact that this guy is obviously disturbed. The more we learn about him, the more chilling it becomes. All right, other stories that are trending this morning. Sean Diddy Combs, who has faced a parade of sexual assault lawsuits, was arrested yesterday. His attorney told CNN. So Combs has been in New York City since last week. He was arrested yesterday at the Park Hyatt Hotel, taken into custody by Homeland Security investigations. Also trending this morning, TikTok fighting for its life. They're arguing in court for the first time that the president's U.S. ban on TikTok is unprecedented, is what they're saying. So the Chinese tech company ByteDance, and they were told that, if it were not sold, that they would face a ban. So TikTok told the court yesterday that the law would have staggering outcomes for free speech in America if a ban were to take effect in January. The company also faced tough questions from judges who echoed the concern of lawmakers about national security. Also trending this morning, Tito Jackson has died. You may have heard this yesterday. Tito Jackson, who rose to fame as part of the Jackson 5. Tito has died at the age of 70, and his death was confirmed by his sons yesterday morning in a tribute on Instagram. Also, the fight over Jordan Giles' bronze medal excuse me, not over yet. Child's attorneys announced that they have filed a formal appeal with the Swiss Federal Tribunal over the results in the women's floor exercise at the Paris Olympics. And they're asking the tribunal to overturn an earlier ruling that had effectively knocked Childs off the podium. Well, this is said a longtime broadcaster for the Red Sox, Joe Casty. I'm going to mispronounce this name. It's Joe Casty. I had it earlier this morning. I said it several times, and then when the heat's on, I fold. I fold like a cheap suit. He had joined the Red Sox broadcast team back in 1983. So he announced his retirement yesterday, and he announced the Sunday series finale against the New York Yankees is going to be his last. So 42 years with the Red Sox, more than 6,500 games. He said, I've decided it's time to retire from a regular broadcast schedule. Also trending, the NFL, week 2 of the NFL, the Falcons versus the Eagles on Monday Night Football rounded out week 2 of the NFL season. Also, do you remember that EU censorship czar who had been engaged with Elon Musk? He was a European Commission and a top censorship czar. Got into a public spat over his threats to ban Elon Musk and its platform X in the European Union. He has since now resigned. He spearheaded the European Union's new censorship law, which is pretty overwhelming. Also trending this morning, 2 former New York City Fire Department chiefs are in custody. They're accused of soliciting tens of thousands of dollars in bribes to provide preferential treatment to certain builders and developers. This is such a tragic story. The Ann Arbor, Michigan Police Department say they're investigating after a student says he was attacked right after telling a group of men that he was Jewish. In a release on social media, police say this happened yesterday morning. Investigators say the 19-year-old student was asked by a group of men if he was Jewish. And when he said yes, the men assaulted the student. So after the assault, the group ran away. Police say the victim suffered minor injuries. He did not need to be hospitalized. And the incident then reported yesterday afternoon. And the police chief spoke about it and said, I've communicated with the University of Michigan police staff. Our goal is to discuss safety over the next few weeks. There's absolutely no place for hate or ethnic intimidation in the city of Ann Arbor. That should be the case all across the country. Saying our department stands with against anti-Semitism and all acts of bias-motivated crimes. Also trending this morning, a Waffle House employee was shot and killed after a customer became angry while waiting for his food. So he became agitated and verbally abusive toward employees at a Waffle House in North Carolina on Friday night. Got a one Friday night. immediately, but I wonder if alcohol was involved. Although it doesn't take alcohol for a lot of people just to fly off the deep end anymore, unfortunately. So after the man was given his food, he started walking toward his car before turning around then and firing 2 shots. Then the man fled. So an 18-year-old Waffle House employee was taken to the hospital. It was shot and killed. Shot and killed over this. And this is, unfortunately, there have been a number of disputes like this that have turned fatal. Subway worker was shot and killed in 2022 after a dispute over too much mayo. A McDonald's employee was also shot same year after telling a customer to leave due to coronavirus restrictions at the time. Also trending this morning, a few more stories. Some of these are a bit dated. The last words of the crew of that Titanic submersible, remember the Titan sub? In the Ocean Gate tragedy, you may remember that. What were the final words before the submersible imploded? All good. That was the first day. There's a hearing underway into the tragedy. So the crew were communicating with support staff via text messages, and that was the last contact that they had. And that's a look at the stories trending this morning in Belf's News Gallery. 6:57. This hour of the Greg Belfrage Show brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month. Well, thank you so much, my friend, for letting me get your day started. Thank you so much for listening to the Greg Belfrage Show. I really do appreciate it. Hope to see you coming up this morning at 9:30 for the 4th hour of the Greg Belfrage Show. So I'll see you then. Otherwise, so long until next time.